Well, you know that woman always wearing a good man. Yeah, buy me a wig all the time. She said, ooh, baby.
That is inspirational singer Reverend Robert Jones Sr. He's in Grand Rapids tonight as part of a Black History event sponsored by the Grand Rapids African American Museum. He's speaking this evening at the Ford Presidential Museum, and he joins us now in studio. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Elaine.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and you're a Detroit native, a musician for more than 30 years, and I hear you play a whole lot of different instruments. Talk about some of your experience.
Well, the fact of the matter is that I was born and raised in Detroit and sort of got hooked by this music called the blues. And since then, I've been hooked by many kinds of music, spirituals, gospel, folk. And a large part of my career has been to go into schools and work with museums and other institutions and really talk about the beauty of American diversity. The idea of celebrating our diversity instead of just tolerating it. And that's taken me to a lot of places, both in Michigan and beyond Michigan. And it's a pleasure to come back to the Gerald Ford Museum.
That's fantastic. And speaking of, you're giving a lecture about the songs that healed the nation. Can you talk about what that is and give us some examples?
Yeah, a lot of times when our nation has been in crisis, war, depression, even epidemics, folks penned and composed songs that encouraged us until we got out of it or encouraged us in the midst of it. And so I ran across an old song, actually not that old of a song, but written about something that happened with President Lincoln, that apparently when Lee surrendered to Grant, and they asked President Lincoln, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with these rebels? And how are you going to punish them? President Lincoln said, let the band play Dixie. And it was like, what a wonderful conciliatory note to a defeated enemy to say, now we're all Americans. We're going to celebrate the fact that we are healed from the sickness of separation and let the band play Dixie. And that is one of those songs that will be a part of the program, but it's not the only time that it happened. There have been so many instances where we were divided and music brought us together. So it's going to be a presentation on that kind of music. Well, pretty wide range of styles.
Yeah, and speaking of tying that back to President Ford, how does that tie into his presidential term as well?
I always think of President Ford as being one of the great statesmen. He was a Republican, but of course that was not his the hook he hung his coat on. He was a gentleman who, in a time of trouble, in a time of confusion, really worked to bring the country together. And so I love that idea of a statesman, a moderate, if you will, who helps to moderate the tone of whatever it is that we're going through. So we celebrate those folks who are at extremes, but a lot of times we don't appreciate the people who help to create a spirit of moderation. And I think that's what makes America great.
That's fascinating, and how it all ties back into music. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Elaine.
Fascinating topic. We appreciate it. And you can hear Reverend Jones speak at 6:30 tonight at the Ford Presidential Museum. Admission is free. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.